Hey, what's that thing out there?
The daybed I've been working on?
Daybed? Like sleep during the day?
I mean, I guess. It's also just for like lounging around or whatever.
What's that thing?
Oh, that's that coffee table I made a while back. It's totally made out of wood and it's flat and square. Pretty sweet, actually. A daybed, a bed for sleeping during the day. Well, whatever it is, it's a simple piece to be sure. But even the simple pieces provide opportunity to learn and progress skill, and even the simple pieces still present their challenges. So let's talk about this simple piece. I was commissioned to build a daybed, and as you can see here, it's a pretty straightforward design. It's essentially 3 panels with butt joint connections at the corners, an L-shaped footboard or whatever you want to call it, then a support beam and some plywood slats where the mattress will sit. Like I said, simple enough, but throw in a couple additional requirements like the fact that it's being shipped and needs to be fully disassembled. We wanted as little hardware visible as possible, and we only had 12 hours to build it, and now you have yourself a not so simple build. We didn't actually have to build it in 12 hours, I just wanted to add some drama. So now that we're up to speed on this maybe not so simple build, let's get into some of the building. And I started with making the 3 main panels. And this, as you can see, consisted of breaking down some boards, milling them to their equal and final thickness, then getting ready to glue them up. Also, if you've been wanting to try your hand at making some of the pieces you see us making on this channel, check out all of our furniture plans. There's a link in the description. We have a pretty decent selection at this point, so go see if something looks interesting to you and give it a shot. To get ready for the glue up, I first mark out my domino placement and orient the boards, taking into consideration grain and color along with any inconsistencies in the wood. If any of the boards have a bit of bow, I place them next to a straight wide board or another board that has the opposite bow in an attempt to straighten things out. But once I have my board layout and mortises marked, I can run my boards over the jointer for one last light pass to utilize the in-out method. And what this does is guarantee my joint edges will be complementary to each other if my jointer fence is slightly off, and again give me the best possible chance for a flat glue up. Each joint seam is marked with an in or out, I or O, which corresponds to its orientation to the jointer fence. And as you can see here, if the fence is off on the first edge of the joint, then the corresponding edge will also be off, but in a complementary way. So with all of the boards to their finished dimension, I could cut in all of the domino mortises, then send them home during the glue up. With the panels glued up, I could work on getting them to finished size, and that started with a quick rough sanding to get rid of any leftover glue and to just smooth things out. From there, the 2 side panels were trimmed on one end with a track saw, then cut to equal and final length on the opposite end using the table saw. As you can see here, we needed the panels to be just over 53 inches long, and the table saw fence only reads to 52 inches. But there's a little more space outside of that, so we were able to essentially max out the table saw fence to the length we needed. I was also simultaneously making the L-shaped footboard. So here I'm cutting both of those pieces together to their finished length, which needs to be the interior dimension of the daybed. So with all of the panels to final length, I just needed to get them to finished width, and a few quick rip cuts would get us there nicely. From there, I could cut in the domino mortises for the L-shaped footboard, then glue that into final L shape. And with that, we were finally able to do a first dry fit to see how everything was starting to come together. At this point, I could start figuring out the method to allow the piece to be fully disassembled. And for this, I'm going to use the Festool domino connectors. I've used these a handful of times in the past, and they work really well. I use these down the height of both back corner joints, as well as along the top edge of the footboard. And the method for installing them is pretty similar to using regular dominoes, though on one side of each joint, you need to drill a hole using a special jig. So on one side you have a mortise which receives half of the connector assembly and an attachment post that screws into place. Then on the opposite side of the joint you have the mortise and drilled hole which receives the other half of the assembly, and this is the side that's used to tighten the joint when assembling. With all of those cut and the hardware installed, I started to make the support system for the mattress, which consisted of some slats and 3 support rails. The 2 outside rails were just attached directly to the panels, while the center support needed some simple brackets to hold it in place. Oh, hey, real quick, before we take care of all these slats, let's talk about this month's featured viewer project, which comes from Mark at Maker Mark Designs. Mark made this awesome walnut slab sink, which he's calling the Slab Sink Surprise. He was able to come up with a straightforward method for making the sink, which meant most of his time was spent sanding the epoxy finish to 2000 grit. So if you want to read more about this piece and find links to some of Mark's other work, go check out our website, which we'll link to in the description. We're going to be featuring a new project each month, and we're happy to be using Squarespace to help us build the website. Both Chris and I have been using Squarespace to build and maintain our websites for years now, and honestly, it's one of the best choices we made when starting our businesses. At the time, I had no idea what I needed to do to build a website, but Squarespace makes it super easy to get up and running with plenty of professional looking templates to choose from, as well as making things like purchasing domains really simple. Squarespace also has plenty of e-commerce tools to help you grow your business. Things like inventory management, a simple and secure checkout process, and unlimited products allow us to easily manage online transactions and not get bogged down with mundane tasks so that we can devote more time to doing the things we enjoy, like making a daybed or a walnut slab sink. So if you're thinking about starting a website, or even if you already have one, go check out Squarespace to see if it might be a better option for you. Head over to squarespace.com/4eyes for a free trial. Then when you're ready to launch, use the offer code 4eyes to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. All right, thanks Squarespace. And if you want to have one of your projects featured as well, check out the links in the description for more info.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get better than that.
Everything for this was pretty straightforward, and as you can see, I like to use dominoes on the ends of the slats to keep them in place. One trick here is that I used 5mm dominoes and cut them to fit on the support rails. Then on the actual slats, we cut the domino mortise using the 6mm bit so that the slats could be installed and removed super easily while still remaining in place. So at this point, like this exact point, all of the fabrication is done and I just have a bit of sanding and finishing to go. But something tells me when I say a bit, I actually mean a lot. So there it is, a not so simple daybed. Something a little different from our usual, but still fun nonetheless, and we did it in less than 12 hours. All right, I hope you enjoyed this one, and as always, thanks for watching, and thanks for the support.